Hey guys, Urban Architect here, and today we're going to be looking at the newly released Bad Peanut Content Creator Pack train stations, which, as the name may have revealed, contains various types of stations, including 4 underground metro stations, 3 elevated metro stations, 1 train metro transit hub, and then 8 train stations. Now some of these stations are great and unique and architecturally interesting, and unfortunately some of them are pretty lazy and in my opinion represent quite a bit of missed opportunity, especially as many people rely on these packs for the unique content that we take for granted from the workshop. Now, in order to tackle this review, we're going to be following a fairly simple format, wherein I'll quickly provide some brief thoughts on each station, and then I'll go over the value of the pack depending on the way you play City Skylines. Let's get right into it. Metro Plaza. Now we start with this rather unique sunken station, which is one of the most architecturally dynamic stations in the pack, a dynamism that is unfortunately bogged down by the lack of any buildings or detail on the platforms or the plaza. 8 out of 10, awesome but impractical. Sunken Bypass Metro Station. The bypass stuff is cool, but I really don't like the superstructure for this building, especially considering that it's not actually a building and that those roofs would funnel rain onto the platforms and stairs. Also still undetailed. 3 out of 10, poorly thought out. Sunken Dual Island Platform Metro Station. I like this one. A much more subtle roof structure, detailed platforms, and the stuff with the road is awesome. The only downside is there's still no actual building. These stations only really work somewhere with free public transit. 9 out of 10. Classy design and I like the elevators. Sunken Island Platform Metro Station. Same as the last one for this one, as it's a very similar design. 9 out of 10. Great. Elevated Island Platform Metro Station. The elevated metros are probably the weakest set here, and it's pretty frustrating. And the form of the station here is almost appealing in its vanilla-ness, but I don't love the texture or really the way the shape ultimately comes together. The station is also the best example of the weird prop choices in all of the stations. It has wooden benches, old-fashioned streetlights, and analog clocks all feel very out of place in what should be a hyper-modern design. Also hedges? 2 out of 10, wasted potential. Elevated Dual Island Platform Metro Station. While I can see some uses for this very simple station like this one, I think that it's also a really lazy design and it's not really the type of content worth paying for. 2 out of 10, not really worth it. Elevated Bypass Metro Station. The best of the elevated bunch, the station still can't really straddle a road because the supports are too thin. But that being said, 6 out of 10, sleek but flawed. I do like the design. Glassbox Transport Hub. While the one that was just a platform may have been on the surface level more lazy, this one does take the cake in my opinion for the laziest design and the one with the most missed potential. The only transport hub in the pack, and it's literally just a glass box. There's very little detail, very little nuance, and it's completely nonsensical if you compare the number of passengers who would be flowing through this tiny building to the size of the building. 1 out of 10, lazy. Old Market Station. On surface level this is ugly, but I do love the detail on it and the unique concept of positioning it over a market. This would look great in a European city, and it's on cool ideas like this that all of the stations should have been based. 8.5 out of 10, ugly but awesome. Crossover Train Station Hub. A very unique design, and the inclusion of parking lot roads will be massive for vanilla players. Although I can't imagine a train network that would use something like this. This should have been one of the transit hubs. 7 out of 10, flawed execution, but great concept. Elevated Dual Island Platform Train Station. I love the entrance and the fact that we finally got an actual building with one of the train stations. And the parking lots are cool, but do limit its use in denser areas. I also really hate the roof, and I think it would have worked much better in white or gray. 6.5 out of 10, okay, but could have been better. Ground Dual Island Platform Train Station. Absolutely awesome. The only downside of this station is that it showcases the missed potential of all the other ones. 10 out of 10. If all the other ones had been this good, they could have charged $20. Elevated Island Platform Train Station. This does look pretty boring from above, but it's absolutely awesome from the front. It does get let down by the roof color, and I do wish it could lose the parking lots to make it easier to make sightlines with it. 8 out of 10, imposing in a good way. Ground Bypass Train Station. The uniqueness of the last two stations makes this station all the more frustrating. There are the hints of a successful design here, but they get buried by a flood of laziness, impracticality, and a simple lack of care. 2 out of 10, disappointing. Elevated Bypass Train Station. I thought I was going to hate this one, but it's the complete opposite of the last one, because there's obviously been more effort put into it. I love the wood texture and the glass patternings, two elements that should have been used more in other stations. 8 out of 10, well thought out. Now the average score here was about a 6, which about represents the pack's overall quality in my opinion, as there are some brilliant and unique stations, some good and well thought out ones. And there was only really one station in my opinion that was poorly designed, and all of the other low rated ones got those ratings, not through bad ideas or poor design, but simply through laziness and some poorly thought out elements like detailing and practicality. A statement that in my opinion speaks to the quality of Bad Peanut's work. It's easy to criticize, but I don't think any of us could have produced 16 perfect and unique train stations, especially with the limitations posed by vanilla. So I think overall he's done a really damn good job here. Now, as for the value of this pack, if you are a vanilla or console player, get this pack. While the stations may be hit and miss, the strength of this DLC is its variety, and when it comes to train and metro stations and basically everything else, that variety is what is missing in vanilla. So I'd say this pack is almost a must-have for rewarding and varied vanilla gameplay. And if you play with a modded game, I would still recommend this pack, as there are enough good stations here that it is worth $5 in my opinion. That being said, it's not as much of a must-have, especially considering that a lot of these stations aren't necessarily suited for realistic transit networks. And of course the fact that there's a wide variety of transit stations on the workshop that you can supplement by making your own with enough time and experience. So if you want some more variety, I'd say pick this pack up. It's definitely not perfect, but I'd never call it a waste of money.